at Hyivy, we create a medical device. It's a class 2 medical device, going through clinical trials and going through all the fun healthcare related things that are needed to get a medical device to market. But essentially, what we're replacing is the 84, 85-year-old now vaginal dilator. And what vaginal dilators are used for is essentially anytime you have a super tight pelvic floor, you have scarring post-surgery, you have hormonal changes that are causing things like dryness and atrophy, any sort of changes that happen in this pelvic bowl that we have that has organs and tissue and muscle and bone and all of these different things. We're essentially targeting that. So anytime you have things like chronic pelvic pain, painful sex, these are the types of things that dilators are used for. So
is there a muscle that goes all the way around the pelvis at the bottom?
There is many muscles that go through the pelvic bowl. So yes, we have a bunch of bands of muscles towards the introitus, or the entrance of the vagina. We have deeper into the vagina, and things that support things like sphincter muscles for, bowel movements, to bladder movements, to things that support your hips, right? And your tailbone and your legs and all of these different things. It's really that core of the body. So think of it, I always like to say, think of it as, we all sit at our desks and we're hunched over and our shoulders are up to our necks. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm tight, I'm crunchy, I got all these things. It's the same concept anywhere else in the body where you have muscle. Same thing happens in the pelvis, but then add in layers and things like tissue changes and trauma and the nervous system flaring up for things like pain and pain responses, and layer all of this together. And that's what makes the pelvis so complex.
Okay. Yeah, I'm digesting all of that. For some reason, I've always thought of the pelvic floor as something to do with just the bladder. So that's super interesting. All right. So what's happening for you then? You came upon this. Why? Where did this come from? Why the need for this?
Yeah. So talking a little bit about that 84, 85-year-old device. So I was diagnosed with cervical cancer in 2019. I was 28 years old, went through a open abdominal radical hysterectomy, found out that I was not in the clear yet and had to do follow-on treatment. And went into, I think it was 28 rounds of external beam radiation, which was very, very havoc wreaking on my body. And so when I went through that process and I came out the other side, I was told you need to use this vaginal dilator. And I had some experience with it in the past, due to a different situation, and was like, oh, great, I got to dust off that puppy and bring her back out. And I was like, come on, it's been 8 to 10 years. There's got to be some changes happened. And, lo and behold, I realized change had not happened whatsoever in this space. So, wanted to really improve on that. Found out very quickly that a lot of cancer centers are handing out glass test tubes, that you use for chemistry and mixing and stuff like that in high school chemistry class. They use those glass test tubes that you have to insert intervaginally, and that's for every other day for 5 years.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what everybody says.
Sorry, glass. All right, fine. So this is your journey then.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. So yeah, I just said there's got to be something more humane that we can do. And something that's a little bit more insightful. We have all of these things, I've got my Aura ring on and all of these different connected devices that tell us about our bodies. Why can't we introduce something similar in this area while also performing the therapeutic kind of mechanical function that's needed to help treat these patients, but also track them.
So this is the research part of it that I just absolutely love. Were you able to solve one of your own problems with the device as well?
100%. So, I mean, it was a really interesting process. I came up with this idea while, in treatment. I come out the other end and I'm like, okay, I'm going to start researching this and talking to everybody I can. Talked about 700 women, over 50 to 100 doctors, really pulled together what I could from literature review, but realized very quickly, we don't understand the chronic health population. Like, we truly don't understand when we have things like menopause, we have things like endometriosis, we have cancer, we have surgery, we have all these different changes happening. We don't understand the female body.